Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 2020 edition of the BungleCast, our Halloween campfire special. I have a great host, I've already screwed this up. I have a great number of guests for you today. Don't laugh at me. And um, for those who somehow are not aware of our little community, I'm going to go around and introduce everybody now, starting with Muffin. Please introduce yourself as you wish.
Hello, I'm Muffinheart. I don't really post that much on the forum that much anymore, but yeah, I'm from Northern Ireland. I play some video games. I do not believe in ghosts, so I don't think I will be getting spooked tonight, afraid.
All right. And Muffin Heart, what is your favorite Halloween candy?
Oh, probably a Mars bar. And I'm not just saying that because you're called Mars. Although maybe I am, because, it's the easiest thing to think of because I can see Mars right in front of me.
Well, you might have just stolen Sydney's joke. And on that note, Cindy, please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Sendo von Bendo, otherwise known as Rosenweiss. Uh, I live in Texas, and I hate it here. And that's
Boo.
that's my introduction.
And
Fucking for my favorite candy, which I know you're gonna ask, because I'm not gonna wait you to ask it, because I'm proactive. All the Europeans in this chat, which right now there are only two, will hate me for this opinion, but my favorite candy bar is cookies and cream white chocolate Hershey's bars.
all right, good choice, good choice. Um, Fuzzy, please introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Fuzzy. I'm from Texas, and I love it here. Um,
Boo!
fuck you. Um, I guess that's it. I mean, I talk a lot on the board and stuff, so you guys pretty much know a lot about me. But anyway, I guess my favorite Halloween candy would be Snickers. I guess I don't know. It's got nuts in it.
Nice, very nice. I'm a Snickers fan myself. Ender, would you please introduce yourself for those who didn't watch our stream a little earlier?
Yeah, I'm also from the Midwest, like Mars. Yeah, Ender. Fuck. Now I'm already fucking it up too. Um, yeah, I post on the board. I'm also the maybe champion of Bungle for doing stupid shit. So there's that going for me at least. Favorite
Mm.
candy? I'm taking that title.
I
Um,
don't know.
favorite candy for Halloween would probably be caramel apple pops.
And that's an answer I was not expecting, but I'm a fan of
Yeah.
that. We are currently waiting on Comix. I think possibly the only one of us with a real job. So, he will be in.
Hosting is full-time employment. I'll have you know.
Yes, tell yourself whatever you like. But we're just waiting on him. So I would introduce myself. I am Mars Shadow. I'm from the Midwest, along with Ender. This is the first time I've ever hosted the Bungle cast. So any complaints can be directed to my direct messages on bungle.cafe. Um, and my favorite Halloween candy, I think a lot about this question, but I gotta go with Reese's peanut butter cups. I have a bag of Reese's mini cups right with me. So,
It's pretty based.
I mean, you
They're
can't
pretty
go
good.
wrong. It's chocolate, it's peanut butter. How can you go
I
wrong?
like the pieces because they're not as messy.
Reese's Pieces are also pretty based.
Well, if you're eating chocolate and not expecting to get messy, that's like, I don't know. You're not living life to your fullest extent.
How do you people like
Uh,
candy
you,
bars?
you underestimate how messy I can get with Reese's Pieces.
I guess you live in Texas, so it probably just melts in your little hands. All right. So
Yeah.
first, I think I'm gonna start with just a general around the table question. How do you or how did wherever you're from, your culture, your family, your whichever you like, how do you remember celebrating the Halloween season in your life? I'm gonna pass this first to Cindo von Bindo.
Okay. I don't have anything too exciting to report. I think my Halloween's pretty standard for America or the West in general. I don't know. I would go house to house, sometimes with my cousins. Usually with my cousins. In fact, when I was a kid, getting candy, dressing up, doing fun. Same thing through most of high school. I didn't go trick or treating the last couple of years because you never want to be, you never want to get to a house and have them say, "Aren't you a little old to be getting candy?" Because that just feels humiliating. That's never a good feeling, even if you're only 17. So I didn't go trick or treating the last couple of years of high school, but there were always you go out, you get the candy, you put it in your big old bag, you get back, you take off the hot parts of your costume, you swap candy, then that's the night. You hang out with your friends for a little while longer, then you go home and sleep. Boom, bada boom.
Well, if it makes you feel any
Pretty chill.
better, nobody's trick-or-treating this year. So,
Well,
if they are, I don't trust them, and they're not getting any of my candy.
damn, harsh.
Is it really?
No, but damn, harsh.
Are you coughing into the candy bowl before you give it to the kids?
Yeah, and then, yeah, I have like the bowls with the little hand that reaches down and grabs you. Instead, it's just like a fucking zombie that coughs into the bowl. Alright. So, I'm gonna pass the question to Fuzzy. How did you celebrate Halloween? Do you remember?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Um, in the neighborhood I grew up in, before I moved away, like when I was around 12, I think, Halloween was probably our biggest holiday. I don't know why that came about, but every house was just decorated like out the ass, and basically every house in the neighborhood had at least one kid that was like around my age. It was a great neighborhood to grow up in,
Hmm.
and so I mean, and Halloween was just a blast. It was probably the biggest holiday, even more than Christmas in that neighborhood. I don't really know why it was. It's just, I guess because it was Texas, we didn't have snow stuff. It was just that was the more popular holiday. And I remember like my cousins and stuff would actually come to visit on Halloween because they just loved that neighborhood's like whole deal so much. So yeah, I had a blast Halloween until I moved away, and then when I moved up here to the hill country, it's just the neighborhood we moved to. Just no one really did the whole Halloween thing. But for about those 6 years I lived there and was old enough to go trick or treating, it was great.
Nice, very nice. Did you have that the house, like the rich house that would always give out the full-size candy bars? Was that in your neighborhood?
Every house was that house in
Oh
that
shit.
neighborhood. Yeah, it was. You got so much candy. It was crazy.
That is
I was a member of a football team, like Pee Wee football, and I don't know, I don't remember exactly why, but the entire team and all my cousins were running around, and then I was like, "Oh man, we gotta go over here. These rich guys live over here." And we go over there, like full size candy bars, or they just have like huge bowls set out with like full size bars, and everyone of course would grab like a whole armful of them, you know.
hmm
So it was pretty great.
Very nice. All right, I'm gonna pass the question along to Ashling, and those who are watching the stream may have noticed that I did absolutely fuck up and forgot to include Ashling's icon, so you're gonna see me put it in now while she talks. Ashling, the floor is yours.
And also to introduce me, I
Oh
am
my god,
Ashling.
the fucking icon fucked me up, I swear to god. Ashling, I'm so sorry. Please introduce yourself.
I am Ashling Incandescence. Um, I I'm a moderator of Bungle Boards, and I post. Yeah,
What is your favorite I'm so sorry. What is your favorite Halloween candy?
Haribo Scare Mix, probably.
I've never had that. Well, we probably don't have that. What is that?
It's basically just some kind of generic cheap sweets, which is what Haribo normally is, but they do other flavors. Like, it's meant to be a Monster's Eye, but it's just their normal fried egg sweet, but it tastes like sour apple. So it's kind of lazy as fuck, but it tastes good, so that's all I care about.
Nice, nice. All right. Chat is roasting me the fuck, and I don't not deserve it. So Ash, how did how did you celebrate Halloween when you were a kid?
I didn't.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah, that's decisive.
Well,
We didn't have any of that witchcraft shit.
can I
or
okay? Can I
else-
ask why didn't you? Did you just not just no
Uh,
just no interest in
I
it?
I wanted to. I saw the Billy and Mandy big American shows where big American kids went out with their trick or treating buckets having a good time. Uh, but whenever I wanted to go out, I was told I would be kidnapped by a pedophile, possibly.
Do the
Uh,
English just not celebrate Halloween or something?
not too much to be honest. I
Huh.
like
Hmm.
when I was like 5, we used to get trick or treaters, but past that, no trick or treaters ever came to our house. I never
Interesting.
noticed any really.
That's okay. You guys have Boxing Day or whatever.
I think that's
Or
Canada.
I guess.
No, we have Boxing Day, and
Gotcha. What up now?
on the in November we have Guy Fawkes night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guy, it's kind of disappointing to me that you can't, just lob explosives around on Guy Fawkes Night. I feel like that's in the spirit of things.
You should be able to blow up Parliament legally on Guy Fawkes Night.
They need
But if
to
they catch you, they
if
can torture you until your mind broken.
yeah.
That's
Well,
the
as
trick.
someone who's Irish, I fully endorse blowing up Parliament.
Thank you, Ash. That was I'm so dumb. So I'm gonna pass the question on to Muffin. How did you remember celebrating? I'm not even sure if they have Halloween in Ireland, but did
Are
you?
you serious? We invented Halloween.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
It's an Irish tradition.
Listen,
The whole pumpkin carving thing comes
Which
from
makes it
turnips. You
weirder.
carve
In-
turnips, not pumpkins.
listen.
Yeah, but no one wants to call this only turnip.
Listen. I just recall we burned a bunch of people we thought were witches, and then people later thought, hey, that was pretty cool, and then they made a holiday after it. That's my version of events. But please continue.
Sure. So there wasn't really much celebration for Halloween for me when I was younger because like I lived in the town center because my dad ran a butcher shop, so I lived above the shop and there was like no houses or kids nearby. But my parents at least tried to make it fun for me. So like one year we went into the town center and launched fireworks out of a litter bin. Um, Another one we decided to do it in our backyard, but which was you would think would be a lot safer and make more sense. But one time my dad launched a firework, the trajectory went completely off and went like down an alleyway and almost like hit a person.
Oh my god.
So yeah, there wasn't really much trick or treating. One year my parents did take me to like the suburbs so that I could at least try it once, but like there wasn't really anybody like handing out candy, so that was kind of a bust. So really, Halloween only got like celebrated by me once I went to university and went to like clubs that had like Halloween dress up nights. Um, and the first time I went to that, I didn't even have a costume, so I just claimed I was dressing up as someone from the countryside because I was. But one year I did dress up as Osimo from South Park. Made the costume myself with my cousin, um, and it was the best night out ever. Just because like nobody knew who I was, and I was completely like hidden and had the best costume anyone ever had. It was amazing.
Very nice. Very nice. Ender, how did you celebrate Halloween when you were young? I feel like we'll have a very similar experience.
I mean, I've lived in both city, town, and suburb, so I've kind of gotten all the different experiences. With the suburb one, it was pretty obvious. Even though I was in the poorer part of a suburb, there was like tons of people. So, like every house would have one, even if they didn't care about it. Like have candy, just because they knew a kid would probably come. Um, so there was that, but then like in a town, fucking town and city, nobody gives a shit. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I did Halloween and stuff until maybe I was like 12 or whatever, because then I was just like I didn't care. And I don't know. It was never like a big holiday for me, so I never got too crazy about it. I mean, hence the part I stopped when at like 12. But I think there was also stuff like a lot of weird ghost stuff even happening, and like when I was a kid, so that kind of made me not care for Halloween because it was like I already have enough like weird, creepy ghost stuff outside of it.
Yeah, yeah,
But besides that, I don't have that much with it.
yeah. And well, if and you did mention for anyone who watched the earlier stream, you would do occasionally like you visited the Gibbs Bridge when you were younger. Did you do any other like visiting spooky locations?
Yeah, there's this one place in downtown Toledo called Collingwood Arts Center, which has a bunch of different quote unquote haunted rooms and stuff. Like one where you would hear piano playing, which I've heard.
Mm,
And like I've the only way you can get in there unless you're invited in there or are studying there is by breaking in, which it doesn't have any locks on the building, so is it really breaking in then? Anyway, I went there with a friend before. We heard things like the piano playing. We heard things that were probably rats running in the walls. Seeing people and hearing people walking around at like 2 a.m. Just various very creepy things. But then there's like haunted graveyards where I live. I mean, the haunted kind of place. Um, Besides that, I have kind of minor stuff like stuff that's happened in like a home that I've lived in or whatever, but
mm, very spooky. And I believe we will be getting to a lot of that as the night goes on. Um,
yeah.
to quickly answer the my own question. Yeah, I mean, trick or treating was it was a big thing in my town where I grew up. It was a very like tightly knit community, so I basically knew every kid there, and we would all share like there'd be a sort of like secret in group of people who knew what the best houses were and like where to go and what the routes were, how to avoid the older kids who were going around causing trouble. Um, so I was very big into costumes. I remember the one I remember most. The one I guess I remember the most was I made a homemade Indiana Jones costume, and um,
Pretty dead.
wait, I'm sorry. That's a lie. I did make an Indiana Jones costume, and then I reused the. It's not a lie. I reused that costume and edited it and like changed it to be a Van Helsing costume. Basically, that was all brought about by my dad owning this raggedy ass brown like leather jacket, and I had an Indiana Jones hat. I'm like, oh my God, look, I can do it. So, I went around and I did own a bullwhip because I was a huge Indiana Jones fan as a kid. A 12-year-old owning a whip is it's
That's just America, bro.
it is just America.
I
Like
don't understand why you didn't bring your gun.
I had a toy gun that I used, but it was like a flintlock rifle with like 100 years before Indiana Jones' time. It was either that or my like my Glock 19 airsoft pistol. So
I don't know. Indiana Jones might travel around with a Glock. You don't know.
I guess I don't, but that's how I remember Halloween when I was a kid. So, something. So I want to move on to one of our topics that you have brought, or if you don't, then I have some questions prepared for y'all's. Since I've already done Ash and her bloodline very dirty tonight, I'm gonna let her start. Ash, is there anything that is there a topic that you'd like to discuss? If not, then that's fine. As I said, I have questions prepared I can ask you.
No topic prepared to discuss. No.
Okay, so as some may not be aware, Ash is very big into serial killers. Um,
That's true.
I want to ask, do you have? I'm not sure if I've asked you this before. Do you have a favorite like weird serial killer thing of all of the stories that you've heard? Because you've heard a lot. You've told me about quite a few.
Does it have to be a serial killer or just a killer?
It doesn't have to be a serial killer.
Probably just trying to remember the case. It was a farmhouse in Germany. Cindy might know it.
That would be, I think it was in either Bavaria or Austria, but that would be the Hinterkaifeck house.
See, that's the issue. I can't remember how to pronounce that shit. But probably that case, just because of how the family described it, and
Could you tell us a little about it?
okay, so there's this family who lives on a farm. It's winter, so it's very snowy. And basically, it's kind of a secluded farm, but it's still part of a community. You know, like it's not too far from a place. It's still obviously a part of a community, if that makes sense. Um, so they have a housemaid, um, who she claims the place is haunted, right? Because in the snow leading from and to the farmhouse, they can see snow coming from the woods. Well, footprints coming from the woods from the snow. So, and she talks about how she keeps hearing weird things and noises inside the house, so she's quitting. The place is haunted. She doesn't want to work there anymore. So, after, so a few other weird things happen in the house, like the keys that, like a day before something awful happens, the keys go missing, and a newspaper is misplaced. Um, so the day after the keys go missing, all of the family are murdered, including the new housekeeper who arrives that day. Um, it turns out, for probably about a few weeks, someone had been living in the house with them, and then had lured them out into the farmhouse and kind of murdered them one by one. And I find it very interesting, just because it's a case of they didn't. It feels like if you look at all of the evidence towards it, the family would have known that someone else was living there pretty easily, you know? Or at least had a proper look around the place, which would have saved them pretty much. I find that interesting just because of that being the case of a lot of very small things adding up, but none of them being as so suspicious as to just take a standard amount of time to look around the place.
That's crazy. That is.
Yeah.
I think I've heard that story before.
Eventually, it was apparently solved years later by some police cadets in Germany who had been assigned to investigate it, not to find out, obviously convict anyone, just to as a task to see if they could figure it out.
It wasn't it
They
fairly
did. Yeah, they figured it out, but they had no plans to ever reveal who it was, because they didn't want that person getting harassed for something their ancestor did. But they figured out apparently who it was and why they did it. They just never have revealed the information because it would be unfair on their descendants.
Yeah. That'd be hard to live with if someone in my family like butchered another family.
Yeah, I imagine it would be pretty tough to deal with finding out that your grandfather had destroyed an entire group of people for some kind of reason.
In my defense, I always thought Grandpa was pretty sus. Did anyone ever have anything like that? In like anywhere they've lived? Like, was there ever a murder in your town?
Yes, actually.
Oh
One
my
reason.
God.
Yeah,
You talk first.
one of the reasons me and my brother believe the place we're renting is so cheap is because we found out actually that the street right in front of my house, someone was murdered. Now, we don't get worried about it because it was a premeditated one, mind. Apparently, they caught the guy, they arrested him, he's in jail. But there was a murder in the street right in front of my house.
Whoa.
Actually.
Wow.
Wild.
Actually, I'm sorry to have jumped in right there. Mars asking you that reminded me. I can't believe I didn't think of this beforehand. There was a really high prolific murder in my city where I live, and this is like a couple blocks away from where I am right now. I've told this story to a couple of you guys before, but there's this apartment complex, and it's right across from this Methodist church that my family goes to a lot. But these guys, I forget the whole story behind it, but I was in high school at the time, and there was this straight up like murder satanic ritual killing type thing that happened there, where I forget if the like the authorities found it during or after the whole thing had gone down, but this girl had been kidnapped and ritually murdered in this apartment by these two other teenagers, and they had like this whole setup. I mean, they had a whole like, when you think stereotypical like movie Satanist, they had that setup. They had like the pentagram on the floor. They had a toilet seat lid glued to her forehead, which was the odd part. I mean, aside from the fact that that's obviously odd, but it was a very strange way to go about it.
I'm on a podcast.
Is that a ghost?
Oh,
I think it's fuzzy talking to baseball.
Ash, I think that's an electronic voice phenomenon, is what they call it.
No, that's my mom came in being a dork. But yeah, they can hear you.
Sorry, continue, Cindy.
No, that was pretty much the end of it.
Oh, okay. Ender, I think you said you perked up when I asked that.
Yeah, I mean, besides the one I mentioned on the bridge where a nun got ritually murdered as well by a satanic priest, which I don't know why that's such a big thing, satanic ritual murdering, whatever. I think, like, yeah.
I feel it's
think-
understandable with that kind of belief if you do really do believe in it. I feel like that is
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you definitely have a point, so. I know there's this one pretty bad murder. I mean, it's not any time recent. I think it was like 100 or so years ago, which in American time is like a million.
Yeah.
There was like this really brutal murder in my hometown by this guy whose name was literally Return Ward, which is really fucking weird. And he was like this who killed his wife and I think her children from a previous marriage. He like dismembered her body and like cremated them in the stove and whatnot.
God.
And there's like a legend saying that like she haunts like one of the hotels in downtown Slovenia, which is really funny.
Ooh, that is creepy. There was a okay, so there was a murder in my hometown that I only recently heard about. So apparently it's a dark and stormy night, literally, and this like there's the place I come from is kind of a rich town, so this takes place in a mansion. It's a husband and wife and two children. One of their children is like a kind of the older child is like a sort of stony drug addict. I think he was addicted to cocaine, and the younger child, they're both brothers. He was the definition, the textbook definition of a good kid, and
Sure.
yeah, yeah, exactly, sure. And one night, the mother and father they are gunned down with the family double-barrel shotgun. The mother is killed instantly, and the father is shot, survives, and then is stabbed 6 times in the chest. And I think the case was unsolved for quite a while, and everybody thought that the older druggy brother did it. As it turns out, the younger brother, who was 15 at the time, confessed 15 years later, just recently, I think. Actually, I'm not sure if it was recently, but confessed 15 years later to killing both of the parents.
Yeesh.
Yeah. And nobody really knows why he did it. It was crazy because the thing was so like they had found the bodies of the parents like wrapped up in the woods along with the gun and like some shell casings, and they were all wiped clean of fingerprints. Like total professional shit that this 15-year-old did to his own parents. And it's the craziest thing I've ever heard, honestly.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, heated gamer moment.
Yeah. I shouldn't. That is one hell of a gamer moment. Well, speaking of gamer moments, Fuzzy,
Yeah.
can we talk about that time you said that? No. I believe you have a topic.
Oh, the one time.
Uh, listen, you were playing. Okay, we were playing PUBG, and you just got mad, and I don't know what I did, and then you just um so you've done a lot of outdoorsy stuff. This is right. Am I correct in speaking?
Uh,
You're being
I,
interrogated right now. This is all going on record.
okay. Yeah, I kind of get roped into the doing stuff because my dad's like a big hunter guy, and I'm not really into hunting, but I like camping and fishing and stuff like that.
Anything weird ever happened to you while you were out in the great outdoors?
Um, yeah, the woods are honestly they're pretty spooky, and you just start to kind of get used to it.
Hmm.
Just when you nowadays, I mean, you just it, hearing noises out in the dark. If you're not used to that, it's gonna be really spooky. But you kind of get used to it, and as long as you have like a fire going and stuff, it's fine. I mean, there's one time pretty recently. It was like the first time ever where I was like actually camping by myself that I got pretty scared. Because I've never heard coyotes, however you want to say it,
Coyotes.
at night in such a coyotes,
Peyote.
little forest puppers,
Mm-hmm.
and forest puppers. But
Not the heckin' pupperino, I say as a skinwalker rips my intestines out.
Not the forest puppers.
Sorry,
As,
continue.
so the thing about coyotes is they don't really group up very big. Like they're not like wolves. They're more like solo hunters. They might kind of group together during the day when they kind of bed down and stuff just for like safety, but they don't really hunt together. And the reason I bring that up is because like one time I was out camping at night, I heard at least 24 of them off in the distance,
Ooh.
and they were like steadily getting closer to me until I would see some of them like run past like off in the distance, and they like circled around my camp, and they kept getting louder and louder. And eventually I just like shot. I had like a handgun or something, and I shot around into the ground, and they didn't even care. They got even louder, and they got even closer to the camp. So I just grabbed like my half empty bag and ran down the road, and they were like following me the entire time, and I guess they just never built up the courage to like actually try and attack me. But that was the only time I've ever been like actually scared for my life when I was camping.
Oh my god.
Pretty freaky.
Other than that, I've never had like any. Yeah, I've never had any like actually freaky experiences, but I've had like a lot of really creepy evidence, or like whatever happened on the ranch. So like I said, coyotes don't really group up when they hunt, so they usually don't kill anything big. But we keep finding like torn apart bodies of deers and hogs, and usually that would be like, oh, it's an old deer or it's a young deer that got killed by a coyote and he just couldn't get away. But every body we found has been like a young 2-year-old or 3-year-old buck that would not get killed by a coyote.
Damn.
And then I've shot a couple of hogs, because they're like pests or whatever. Like tearing up. I don't, it's not for hunting. It's just, like land preservation. And I've we dropped the bodies out, just to see like coyotes come in and see what they do. And the bodies will just disappear, like the hog bodies. Yeah, and it's like we'll put trail cameras on them. It's like because coyotes can't drag a 200-pound hog off. They weigh like 50 pounds. So we'll put a camera, and every time we put a camera on, the coyotes will come and tear the body up, but won't drag it off. And every time we just leave the body out without a camera, the body disappears.
That's
So it's
freaky.
like something is on the ranch that's strong enough to drag off a hog, but smart enough to not get caught on camera doing it.
Oh my god.
So it's either the coyotes are getting really smart and they're working together to drag off bodies, which is almost as scary as a skinwalker. But I don't know, it's pretty crazy.
that that is creepy as hell. I don't
That
think
was me, sorry.
me on the way to the kitchen at 3 a.m. for some shredded deer.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I can
Yeah. So
I don't think I can top that. The only thing I was gonna add is that I know one time my mom was like hiking and got trailed by like a wild pig for about half an hour. But
I mean, that would still be pretty creepy.
that is
Yeah.
creepy, but I'm not sure if it's skinwalker creepy.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
So,
yeah, hogs can be pretty scary if it's like a mother hog. Of course, it's like with any animal, like a mother animal that's protecting her piglets or her cubs or whatever.
mhm.
I've had some spooks where I've accidentally just walked into a clearing and there's like a mama hog and some piglets. That's about as scary as getting close to like a bear, you know.
Yeah.
That thing will attack you.
Yeah, they don't fucking care. Have you ever like I'm floored when I ever see like those videos of like a deer getting hit by a car or something. Don't ask why I'm watching these. But you know, like when you see just these large like bucks or something get hit by a car and or a moose or something, and yeah, they'll fall over. The front of the car is just absolutely wrecked, but they will not have a scratch on them, and they'll just get up and walk back into the woods like nothing happened. They are.
Yeah, they probably walk off a little while and then die later. But
I've seen some. Well, a lot probably, but I've seen some fucking freaky shit with that.
I bet. I wouldn't be surprised.
So
super deer.
super deer.
They're making the deer immortal.
They're making the frickin' frogs gay and the deer immortal.
So the pollution is causing mutant deer.
Okay, so speaking of mutant deer and skinwalkers, just want to field the audience. Does everybody know a little of like kind of what cryptids are?
I certainly do, at least.
Yes. It was
Yeah.
actually a name theme of another Discord I'm in. They do a name theme every month, and one of the themes was cryptids, so we all had cryptid-based names.
Well, that's good. I know Ender does, and I'm sure obviously Fuzzy does. So I want to. Oh, Comix joined the call.
Is Big Chungus a cryptid?
Get me a blurry, poorly photoshopped image of Big Chungus, and he can be a cryptid.
So, it looks like our friend Comix is here. So, I'd like.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Oh,
Hi.
I'm just gonna just do the the introduction for him. Comix, I'm gonna ask you to introduce yourself and then what your favorite Halloween candy is. Thank you so much for joining
Wait.
us.
Halloween candy?
Yes.
All right, because I misheard you. I thought you said Halloween daddy, and you kind of put me on the spot there. I was like, wait, what?
Well, I mean, you
Halloween
can
daddy?
answer that
You
question.
can answer that too, yeah.
Count Chocula? I mean, you know, like vampires are sexy, power's sexy. You know, he's a count. He owns land.
He got that suck.
You know, yeah, he'd be a good
Yeah,
sugar daddy. You can give you a bunch of money. I'm
Exactly.
seeing all the
Exactly.
upsides here.
But yes, hello. It is I, Comix. I'm the resident degenerate. Well, not the resident degenerate. I'm one of the many degenerates on Bungle.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can't claim that
Yeah,
title.
you're gonna have to wrestle for that time.
I'll wrestle for it. I'll wrestle for this worthless title.
All right.
yeah.
So what we were just about to talk about, Comix. Do you know what what cryptids are? I'm asking.
Of course I do.
Of course. So I wanted to ask, I wanted to field the room. Are there any like urban legends or cryptids from the area you're from? I'm especially interested to hear from our European friends because I don't exactly know what goes on over there. Obviously, me thinking that Ireland didn't have Halloween. I'm gonna start with Muffin.
Oh, well, you're kind of asking me like historical and geographical questions there, so it's like, unless I did my own research, I'm honestly not sure. I know I did actually see a recent picture that showed like all of the mythical creatures around Europe, and it's actually interesting like how many Ireland's had, because if you look at like all of the other countries in Europe, they have like one or two like mythical creatures, but like Ireland has them all. I didn't actually realize until recently that the classic sort of witch on a broom with like hat and like pointed nose and warts and everything, that's actually not technically a witch. It's technically called a hag.
Hmm.
So that's interesting. But I honestly don't know what like any specific like folklores around cryptids in Ireland are specifically.
I
But
re-
we have a lot of mythical creatures.
yeah, I recall like reading because I was all over this shit when I was a kid, and I recall I think don't you have like kelpies as a part of your folklore?
Frog horse.
Kelpies, weird like not mermaids, but like an offshoot from mermaids. There's fairies, of course. Like a lot of the Celtic gods, like the person I chose my like middle name off of, Anya. She was like considered the mother of fairies. She gave birth to fairies. She also bit off a king's ear, which is pretty awesome.
Hell
That's
yeah.
But,
rad.
but yeah, no, I'm afraid my knowledge is very limited.
Well, that's all right. I mean, that was a very good, thorough answer, I'd say.
Yeah.
Comics, how about you? Uh,
Oh, I mean, he lives in New York,
Sorry,
so
sorry, my mic was off.
oh, you're good.
Yeah. So, for me, I don't have any around here. I'm in Brooklyn right now, so unless
Ah.
you count crackheads, there's not really any cryptids. But
Are you from
I did
Brooklyn?
grow up.
what about the
Well,
what about the rat
I was from
pit
Queens.
you can just fall into?
Yes, man. I grew up in Queens, but my family is Colombian, and I was raised on Mexican. So obviously, I've heard a lot of Spanish folklore, and one of the most prolific Spanish little cryptid would be La Llorona, who is a if Utah is listening or anyone over them listening, they've probably heard of them. The idea is that she's this little lady who existed back in the olden times. That's never really specified when, and she was an old lady. She was this mother of two, whatever. And the baby daddy goes, "Hey, so we're hella poor, and these kids are like cost a lot to feed. So like you gotta get rid of them, buddy." And she was like, "Well, shit." And she goes and she drowns her kids, right? And the kids fucking die, and they're gone. And then she goes back, and her husband like died. So I guess, oh shit, vacancy. But then she's hit with like this sort of just depression because she just killed her fucking kids, and she just spends the rest of her days just going around like looking for her children, just in denial that she killed them. So you'll hear them go, "Donde está mi niños, mi niños?" And eventually she just dies of a broken heart. And
Sorry.
what happened after that is that she just becomes a ghost because she's just so depressed and she's just constantly looking for her kids. So what she does is that she'll find little kids hanging out after dark. She'll think it's their kids. She'll go up, hug them, do whatever, and then when she actually comes to the realization that they're not her kids, she goes and drowns them. So
Ooh.
that's that.
What did you say the name
Um,
of that one was?
La Llorona. So La
Okay.
Llorjan.
Yeah, yeah.
I think they made a movie.
I've heard of her around here.
I was
Yeah.
about to say they made a
Yeah.
movie that was probably crap about her.
Also,
Uh,
I've
Yeah,
heard
I
of.
heard it was pretty bad. But it's a
I'm,
good
I'm,
concept.
I'm hearing the calls from the abyss. One Madeline would like me to relay the story of the Popelick monster, who was apparently some guy who hangs around the Popelick bridge, and he just jumps up out of the bridge and just lops your fucking head off. And that's how she wrote it. Yeah. So the way she writes it is there's a cryptid here in Louisville called the motherfucking Popelick monster who leaps out of nowhere into the Popelick bridge and cuts your head off with an axe. It's
Hell
cool
yeah.
as hell.
Hell yeah.
So
It's rad as
there you go.
He
Okay.
doesn't fuck around with any of that backstory shit. He's just like, "Oh, that's my job." You know,
Yeah,
it's
no,
always good.
we don't know who he is. He's there. He's got an axe. You don't ask him questions.
We
Simple as
can't
that.
we can't make him leave.
Watch it, notice this.
Don't go there. We
Um,
send a D class across every now and again.
Just for shits and giggles, we know what'll happen.
Yeah, yeah. Test the SCP.
I would like Ash. Is there any spooky folklore or things around anywhere you've been in your life?
Uh, Around here, I don't think so. No, actually. I know a lot of places in England are apparently haunted. Uh, but around here, I've heard of nowhere like that. At least, yeah,
Yeah.
nothing around here. But there again, this place is pretty much a nowhere town. So, unfortunately, we don't get the Louisville destroyer or
The Axe Boy,
Yeah,
or the lime
Bridge Boy.
beasts.
Yeah, I think London is a very like. There's definitely a lot more of the paranormal stuff around there. I think
Yeah,
like.
there's
Oh,
a
sorry.
lot of stuff related to my knowledge of stuff that was like where famous religious figures were murdered or where historical people have been killed, and then apparently those places are haunted. But personally, I've never lived near anywhere that has been known for that.
Something I will say from my own research is that I think the sort of image or idea of like a black dog or a hellhound came from Britain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Black Dog's real British.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like Hound of the Baskervilles, I think is directly based off of that, the Sherlock
yeah.
Holmes novel. So
Um,
that is very interesting.
yeah.
I was very into
The,
that. I loved that novel as a kid.
there's a lot of English folklore like elves and stuff like that, but it's not particularly creepy, you know? Like, depending on who you are, I wouldn't really consider elves or Attons really scary, traditionally, or at least in that kind of sense. So not much of that to my knowledge. There's a black dog, but I think there's a lot of places which have their own urban stuff. Like I think there's something called the Beast of Blackmore in
I've
Cornwall or
heard that
something.
name, so
Hmm,
Yeah, but
interesting.
not to my knowledge.
man, talk about weird fairy tales and fucking kid stuff. German fairy tales and like kid stories are the strangest things.
Don't they have like Krampus or whatever?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Krampus is kind of a Bavarian thing, though. Nobody likes
Oh,
Krampus, but he's really weird. I remember there's one kind of prolific online creepy German kid story that you hear about a lot just because it's so weird, and I don't remember all the details, but it's called Das Travelpeter, which just means the scraggly or like unruly Peter, and he's this
Yeah.
boy like all German fairy tales essentially follow the same mold, right? Like in a German fairy tale, kids are told, "Don't do this; it's bad for you," and then the parents leave. The kids go,
well,
"Well, I'm
I'm gonna do
yeah,
it.
Tell me what to
gonna do
do.
that thing," and then they do that thing, and something horrible happens to them, and they're either disfigured or they die. The famous one is I forget the name of it, but it's the one. It's real simple where a girl's um a girl's parents are like, "Don't play with matches," and she's like, "I'm gonna play with matches," and the story ends because she plays with matches and she sets the house on fire and dies. But I forget what the actual moral of it was. I think it's just something akin to like clean yourself, listen to your parents, don't like. Because I know there's one about like don't lean back in your chair. It's a series of stories, but the Slovopeta will go around with scissors, and I think it's like if you chew your nails or you don't wash your hands or something, he'll cut off your fingers with these old like rusty shears. And I like if you lean back in a chair, he'll like pull it back so your head will bust open or something. It's it's not very bright. It's not fun.
It sounds like parent propaganda.
Yeah, it kind of
I
is.
feel like that's what most like urban legends or all that like a lot of folklore is that just like parents trying to keep their kids in line, so telling them these stories like
Yeah.
if you disobey
As far
mother.
as yeah, as far as cryptids go, in Germany there's one that I honestly don't really know much about. It's called Vollbettinger. It's just kind of like a jackalope in American, like if you know what that is, where it's kind of like the bunny
Yes.
like
With the
thing.
antlers.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to that. In Texas, I mean, in southern U.S. and Mexico, we obviously have the fucking chupacabra that everyone talks about. That's the big cryptid down here that he runs. For those of you who, I imagine everyone probably knows what the chupacabra is, but if you don't, he's this thing. He's been depicted a bunch of different ways. Sometimes he's a little brawny man. Sometimes it's like a weird bear-looking thing. But in any case, it's colloquially the goat sucker, which is hot. But he'll go around and he kills goats or cows or whatever else, and then he, I guess, has vampire fangs because he exsanguinates their corpses
Yeah.
and then eats them out. There is also a common counter conspiracy theory around here, which is a conspiracy theory in itself, that the chupacabra is actually a cover-up for aliens who come down and suck all the blood out of the cows. And so the chupacabra was made to cover up that story, which is theory.
That I have a Puerto Rican friend who's very proud of the chupacabra because I think that's where like the first sightings of that creature were
Yeah, I think it
reported.
is. I think it is Puerto Rican. I think you're right.
I love the chupacabra. That shit's so rad.
That shit's so rad.
That shit's so rad. Oh yeah, well, I was gonna ask for our Texas duo to tag team if there were any, but since Sindo got us started, do you know of any Fuzzy? Isn't
Any
the
chupacabra
Thunderbird
stories?
or like any other cryptids or anything from Texas? Isn't the Thunderbird from around that area?
I've
I've never.
heard vaguely of it. I don't know if it's from here.
I think it's like
I don't know what that is.
it's like a big. I think it was what I think it literally was. I think that like we heard this thing from Native American mythology and we kind of stole it like we stole everything of theirs. So um, basically, it's
Yeah.
like it's a giant sort of eagle that I think appears in like lightning storms that was that I think would like pick off like cattle or livestock or children who are out late. You know.
Yeah, I looked it up. It seems like that's more of a like Central American plains type of cryptid.
It goes from a lot of places, but I think it's mostly around the Pacific coast and like the Great Lakes. So like around here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently called natively the Anai-mai-Q/Inai-Mekiwa
Nice.
in the
Amazing.
Menominee language.
Ender, I gotta ask. I gotta. Oh,
What's that horribly?
sorry,
So
Sydney. No, I thought it was beautiful. Ender, I just thought of something. I was looking up the Thunderbird and I saw an illustration. Okay, so I'm pretty sure most people here, maybe not our Europeans, remember the Scholastic Book Fairs, right?
Yeah.
Oh
Hell yeah.
Ender, did you
That's
ever?
the time of the year.
Hell yeah. Ender, did you ever get like? I think there was a cryptid book that Scholastic sold. Did you ever buy that?
I did, but then one of my cousins stole it.
What a prick.
horrible.
And I know exactly what one you're talking about, and I know it got stolen by that person. So
Oh my god.
I think I had that exact
Cousins
book
are the
too.
cryptid.
It had one of my favorite pictures. It's just like Dracula getting jumped by 13 people. And he's just like screaming. Just like in the book.
Damn.
You fuck up the European villagers enough. That's what's gonna happen.
They'll fuck with you. This was totally unscripted, but okay. What was your favorite book you got from the Scholastic Book Fair? This isn't Halloween related at all, but I just kind of want to talk about it for very briefly.
Oh, I
So
haven't
my
heard of
answer is
that.
my answer is somewhat Halloween related, I guess, if you count mythological creatures.
Yeah, I'd
because
count that.
I got this book that was basically like talking about like as if it was like I don't know bestiary. I don't know how to say that.
Wait,
the
I think I
different-
know what book you're talking about, I think.
Yeah, I remember one. I still have the book, but I haven't opened it in years.
Hmm.
And I remember one bit for it where it was basically saying it basically implied that like all like Romani like gypsy people are werewolves. And I just remember that because they would like show them have like it would show a diagram of like a caravan, and it would have like a little like what are those things called? We tie them between trees. Hammocks. It would have like a little hammock on like the top part of it, and that's where they would put like the wolf baby cubs.
Oh my god. That's awful.
Oh my
And so
god.
like whenever they got like werewolves got sighted in an area too much, like the Romani would just pack up and leave.
That's messed
Well,
up.
we know where this is going.
We gotta get
We're
out of
getting-
here. There's too many werewolves.
We're
Yeah.
getting too many stars.
All I gotta
I
say
just
though is I haven't
remember
seen a
that so
Romani and a
bad.
werewolf in the same place.
It's a good point.
I just remember that bit super well. It's really funny looking back on it as an adult, but as a kid, I was like, "Whoa, that's fucking crazy." But, you know.
Whoa, really
Well,
makes you
crazy how that
think.
Casual racism.
Yeah. How,
Scholastic.
from the Scholastic Book Fair to HP Lovecraft, a lot of our horror history is just some very casual racism.
I have a similar-ish favorite book from the Scholastic Fairs. I remember picking up. I probably still have them. Like, they're probably either in my bookcase somewhere in the attic. But I don't know if anyone else ever got those, like, Dragonology books.
Yeah, I
Oh
remember
my
that
god,
too.
yes,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
those books were hype.
Yes. I got
The
some,
Dragonology. And they have the Goblin book. I have that one.
Oh.
yeah, I had Dragonology, Wizardology, and then like
Yeah.
a like something Guide to Dragons or something like that. That I picked up.
Yeah, I can imagine
There's
that those. Sorry, continue.
There was some book that I got off the Scholastic Book Fair about monsters or whatever. I'm not sure if it's the same cryptic one, but I think it was a different one because I remember getting it specifically because I thought it was going to be another one of those, and I was hoping to see Dracula get jumped again. But it was just like a whole bunch of monsters that were like kind of like, who's the Chupacabra, who's the Jersey Devil, and I was like, I already know about these.
Yeah.
And in the middle of it is just Godzilla. And I was just,
Wait,
and I remember as a kid, I was like, "You're fucking with me."
wait. I remember exactly what you're talking about because I had that fucking book and I was so mad. That's fucking Godzilla.
Yeah. And it didn't have King Kong in there too. Or
It
something
did.
Like that?
It absolutely fucking
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
even
I was fucking
trying.
tight.
Not even trying.
Not even
Mm.
trying.
Not even true.
You know what? There was another book I had that fucking tried to list Nosferatu as a fucking like urban legend. And
Oh, sorry. Never mind.
no, I was done.
I mean, you can't put a weight limit on cryptids. Like, prove Godzilla's not cryptid. You can't.
I guess I can't.
You got me there.
I got something at Scholastic Book Fair once, and that it actually gave me a panic attack at one point. It was called The Secret Journeys of Jack London, Book 1, The Wild. I looked it up because I needed to make sure it was real, and it's like and it's like, you know, the author Jack London, but it's like basically a fantasy version of him
It's
as a
fan
kid.
fiction.
Yeah, basically, and it's like, because I think actually as a young adult he did go to the Yukon or whatever, but it's basically about that. But then it's like there's like supernatural like monsters in there, and a lot of really crazy shit happens. He gets like raped by this like weird like druidess in the Yukon, and then like he starts to having like to eat people, and then he has to like vomit because like he's like, oh no, I'm gonna turn into the Wendigo. No, because he eats the Wendigo. He's like, oh no, I'm gonna turn into it. And he vomits, and it was like, I was like 8 reading this. I was like, fucked up.
Not quite of an
Yeah.
appropriate
Yeah.
age for horrific Wendigo fiction.
The
Yeah,
Okay.
that was like actually insane.
I'll be
for a
honest.
minute.
I'll be honest, I've never bought a book from the Scholastic Book Fair. I always just bought like the toys and the video games and stuff. I think I got
So I just had those funky erasers.
I bought City of Heroes at the Scholastic Book Fair. I don't know why they were selling City of Heroes, but you know that one MMO or whatever.
Mm.
But my computer was like too crappy to run it, so I just messed with the character creator for like a little while. I was like, that's a really good character creator.
The only book I remember ever buying from a book fair was it was called Icon Has Cheeseburger, and it was just cat
Based.
internet memes.
Oh my god.
I think that has influenced me greatly.
Yeah, I would agree.
I
That
think
just makes me feel old.
I miss
that you were
I miss
young
that
enough to
era.
buy like a meme book at the Scholastic Book Fair. Back in my day, we didn't have memes. We just
Yeah.
had sorrow and misery.
We
Back
just
in
we just had internet shit.
back in my day, the Scholastic Book Fair was pure. These fucking Zoomers corrupting it.
Oh no, I just bought toys from it as well. I bought like a spy kit, and then I went
Yeah.
like it was like it had like a
Um,
notebook and a pen and like a magnifying glass, and there was like powder for like getting fingerprints and stuff. And then I was like, oh yeah, I can be a spy. And like I was like
I
walking around the playground, and I'm like, there's fuck all to spy on.
There was,
I remember those. One of those spy kits had like night vision goggles, and I was like, oh hell yeah, because I knew even back then they cost $10,000 night vision goggles, but they're selling for $10. I grabbed these things.
That's a fucking steal, dude.
Steal. They're called dorkies. I take them with me to my dad's ranch. I'm trying to fucking use these things in the fucking forest. All they were is like, tinted green glasses.
yeah, I had those exact goddamn things. I think they were like those like kind of like really weird like gun range glasses with like some like
Yeah,
green thing
but
on
they had
them.
like doohickeys and like useless plastic, like
Yeah.
digital, like looking things on them. And my dad's
I
like,
remember-
"Oh, good job, son. Yeah, you're gonna bumping into shit with your glasses on."
Thanks, Dad.
Man, I bought so much spy gear stuff. I remember using it as like a young kid and spying on my neighbor, like from my backyard into their house, and I saw some stuff. And
Yeah, well, those spy kid or whatever spy kid things are just like, prank your big sister, spy on her. Oh,
Yeah.
she's kissing her boyfriend. Oh,
Yeah.
those
Ooh.
commercials.
Such weird,
Oh, yeah.
like fascination in like the. And it probably still is among like kids, but I never got that weird fascination of like catch your older sibling making out with theirs. Like, no, I don't want to. That's weird.
Well, I mean, what else are you gonna use your spy kid shit for?
I
Yeah.
mean, fair point.
I tried spying on my parents and all I got was trauma.
Yeah, they talked about how much of a disappointment I was.
I remember getting one of those. It was like a science kit though instead of a spy kit. It was like by the same company, I guess. And it came with like a microscope and like a little sample thing and like a knife. And
Wait,
so
hold
here's
on,
the
what?
thing, right? So it came with like a
Oh,
scalpel.
yes.
It came with like an X-Acto
Everything
knife,
you need
right?
to be a spy.
Yeah.
Microscope, knife.
It was a science kit. It
A
was a science kit.
scientist.
It
Everything you need to be a
was like a-
scientist. An X-Acto
Yeah.
knife.
Okay,
No,
sorry.
no, no. So here's the thing, right?
Spy kit.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: is that the microscope and everything obviously was very cheap, very fake. The knife was very real. And I remember just accidentally slicing open my finger and going, "Huh! I didn't think it could be sharp." Oh shit! Well, I guess I can examine my blood now.
I guess that's. I mean, you did some science.
People
Yeah,
are
Yeah,
so
you should look at your blood under the microscope.
You
Yeah.
arrived at a conclusion.
people are so scared about razor blades and candy, but they're not scared about razor blades at the Scholastic Book Fair.
This really says a lot about our society, you know.
Honestly, the Scholastic Book Fair was selling some dank
Quite-
shit. I'll be
yeah.
honest.
That was like
They had some like,
the black market for little shits.
yeah, they're like, we know we can get these kids to buy fucking whatever City of Heroes. It's only rated T.
You know what? You know, I don't get the obsession at the Scholastic Book Fair. Like, they just like you would see so many books that had locks on them, and it's like that was the craziest shit you'd ever heard of. Like, keep your parents out of this book.
Oh
You
my
know,
god, yeah.
You can write all sorts of heinous shit in here and lock it up so your parents will never know.
Never.
You'll never. They won't get to send you to therapy because they won't have evidence.
I
And
didn't
they're
get
still
it
making
at
those
Scholastic
motherfuckers.
Book Fair, but there was like some book. It was like the book of pranks or something, and it was like it had some oh man, I forget. Oh no, it was like a trilogy. It was like the book of boy stuff and the book of pranks and then there was one book that was like for girl stuff,
I think I remember
and
what
those
you're
books
talking
were pretty fucking hype.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, I had the boys and the pranks one, and they were basically both had the same thing, which I thought was funny. They were both the same book.
Things just moms won't understand.
Yeah.
All right, so to scoot back to the horror theme, but we can stay on the topic of books. I want to ask, has everyone here either read Goosebumps or the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark?
Scary stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I've
Oh yeah,
read.
the scary stories where it's like the whatever the pictures are like
Yeah.
way too mature for like a
One of
children's.
the pictures, I
Yeah.
still can't look at it. Freaks me out. It's
Those
the
Yeah.
Graphic.
the one that's like the story was really dumb. The story was like, oh, this person lives in a house and they're gonna go visit their friend, but they keep having a dream that they go to their friend's house and this weird lady looks at them, so they go to a hotel instead. But then the weird lady's in the hotel. Whoa! Like, it's a really good story, but the picture of the lady was creepy as hell.
That was the
and I
Yeah.
still cannot look at that.
That was the thing about
There
the stories were like so bad. They weren't scary at all, but they got like some dude who definitely is like I want to check to see if that guy's okay, whoever drew the original pictures for Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. But they were
He's the American Junji Ito or whatever.
Yeah,
honestly though.
I
Yeah,
saw
John
the
Ido.
movie. That shit was.
John Ido.
There's one that still haunts me to this fucking day, and it was like this woman, and like there was like a tree branch just like sticking up her throat and going under her skin and like crawling around her face and shit. That shit freaked me the fuck
Ooh.
out. Yeah.
God, there was like it was one that's like I think it's the lady with like the spiders in her face.
yeah.
That
She
shit.
has like a pimple, then it turns into a boil, then it hatches, and it's a bunch of little baby spider.
Yeah, I think I think they adapted that for the movie, by the way.
Yeah, they did.
Oh
There
my
was
God.
one story that I remember always seeming as a kid. It was like weird, but not in like a creepy weird way. Looking back, it kind of reads like a shit post. Like, you know, the posts that are like, "What's wrong with your dog?" and it's like a raccoon. That's kind of the story was, because the story was like this family finds this dog in the gutter, and it's like all down on his luck and stuff, so they adopt him, and then they take him to the vet, and the vet's like, oh my god, this isn't a dog, it's a rat, and that was the end of the story. It's like,
This
okay.
is a big ass rat.
I mean, would they still keep the rat?
I guess now you got a pet rat. Yeah.
Oh my god, it's Flark.
Rats are actually really.
Yeah, no, throw it back in the gutter.
Like, it was so weird. That's where the story ended. It was like, oh, alright.
It's like, oh, it's a rat, and he just tosses it in the trash.
It sounds
There
like
was-
one of those like New York City baby jokes.
Oh my god, it's a rat. Yeet. Bum, 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 bum.
Oh
There was,
shit! It's a rat.
There was one of those that also stuck with me. I think it was on the same fucking page as the one with the native girl with the neck with the thing up her neck. It was like there was like this. It starts off really strong, where it's just like, oh, so we live in a port town, and lately we send people out to go get some fish, and they just never come back. Their boats come back without them, and we're like, what the fuck is going on? So a group of plucky young kids, they go out there. They got spunk. They've got energy. They go out to the middle of the ocean,
Spunk,
and
yes.
this typhoon just whips them in and it drags them underwater. And then there's this like genuinely like kind of terrifying description of them feeling like they're trying to swim out, but something's like yanking at them and pulling them deeper and deeper into the water.
Oh my
And I was
god.
like, oh shit, where's this gonna go? They wake up and they're in some undersea base, and there's a bunch of robed figures around them, and they approach, and I remember how this is even written too, where they go like, who are you? Asks whatever character, and the robed figure pulls off their robe and opens their mouth, and you see two little fangs, and they're like, oh, they're vampires! And the vampires describe how they have like this typhoon making device to sink people and then shrink their blood in their undersea base. And I was just like, I remember even as a kid, I was like, that's fucking dumb. What the hell?
You gotta respect the hustle. You know, that's
That's what happened to Atlantis. All the vampires took over. Oh my
Oh,
god.
Jesus.
you can't disprove it.
I guess I can't.
Try and prove
I
me
know.
wrong, liberal. You can't.
Yeah, those Goosebumps books were really hit and miss. Like some of them were like, whatever. It's like, oh, it's a haunted bicycle or some shit, and it makes you crash into things. And then other ones would be like, it was like other ones was like, oh, it's actually a werewolf. This is an actual fucking werewolf. This is a big problem.
My friend's a dog.
It kills people, you know,
was
stuff like
one
that.
I
So they get pretty
remember-
fucking.
There was one I remember that made me so mad because the story was this genuinely engaging and pretty creepy thing, and then at the end, the last chapter, it cuts to the monster of the story on a typewriter, and he turns to his buddy, who's another of the same monster. And he's like, "I don't know how to end my story," and then they're workshopping it, and that's the end of the book. And it's like, "Fuck you! How dare you disrespect me like this?"
The most what a twist Goosebumps book I read was one where it's like a kid went to a summer camp, and he was just hanging out doing summer camp things, and everyone started acting real weird, and they started chasing him around, and they were like zombies. He's like, oh shit! So he like beats the shit out of some of them and runs away, and then they catch him, and then his dad shows up. It's like, oh, it was just a test. It was just a test for when you invade Earth.
Oh, you're
You know?
They were
and then and the camera like pans up, and they're like on Mars the entire time, and they're the aliens.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was like, what the
Oh,
shit?
that's awful.
It was unbelievably dumb.
Ash, Muffin, did you guys ever
Oh,
read these?
I
No.
saw the TV shows, but I never actually read the Goosebumps books and like Are You Afraid of the Dark TV show as well. The only one I can remember distinctly that actually kind of creeped me out because I'm a very gullible child was one where it was like this guy where if you like couldn't beat him at a game or whatever, you would like get turned into like a mannequin, but your soul was like still present. Like you were still aware of everything around you. And that freaked me out as a child.
I think I remember that one
But
actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
but
think I saw
like,
the TV
as
episode
an
of
adult,
it.
it just turned me on. So
Turns you into a sex doll.
yeah,
Dude, if I were there, I'd challenge him to Halo 1v1. Like, you can't beat me. That's my
1v1 me
game.
on the pit, idiot.
Try me, bro.
What about you,
Vacuum
Ash?
sword idiot.
Okay, well I'll play you in Halo 5, but oh shit, I haven't played that one.
Oh. Shoot. Oh, I just noticed our very good friend Maddie has decided to join us.
Hello, Maddie.
Hello.
Wife.
Yeah.
But before you start, Maddie, just for consistency's
Yeah.
sake, I have to ask you to introduce yourself and what is your favorite Halloween candy?
Sure. My name is Maddie. I was previously the host of the BungleCast, which was very hard, and so I do not envy our good friend Marshadow tonight. My favorite Halloween candy, is that what you said?
Yes.
This is actually the opposite answer, but I just wanted to say this. I know that nobody's really doing trick or treating, I hope anyway, this year for obvious reasons. But in future years, if any of you trick or treat, if any of you out there in the world are planning on keeping a bowl of candy for trick or treaters, could you please submit yourself to medieval torture if you ever put boxes of fucking raisins in your bowls of Halloween candy?
but I like raisins.
It literally boggles my mind. I don't know if adults think children are like 75-year-old men or something. Um, but just saying that nobody, please nobody, and if you do, I will find you.
I will find you. It will not be
So
So
someone gave you
anyway,
raisins today then.
What if they're like chocolate coated? You get away with
chocolate.
chocolate
Okay,
coated.
see, chocolate coated raisins. That's it's in my mind. It's just a Trojan horse. Like the encasement of the thing, it's attractive and I want it inside of my mouth. But then the core
Heyo.
of it is like I honestly don't know how to describe the horror of tasting a raisin to you.
But you have to
It's
break the chocolate open first with
I
your
really
teeth,
like raisins. I
so you
feel
don't have
so
any
left
warning
out right
about
now.
the raisin.
it's it's like
Disrespected.
this it's like tasting the eyeball of a deformed infant or
Oh
something.
my god.
That's the best part.
It's like an overripe grape. Like what in the fucking world was John Raisin thinking when he invented raisins?
Uh,
Anyway,
Anyway.
this episode of the BungleCast is not sponsored by Sunmade,
it's not sponsored by the Raisin Corporation. Anyway,
otherwise known as the
anyway.
Raisin Criminals.
Anyway, my favorite Halloween candy is, I think if you were to make me choose one, I would probably say Reese's Cups. Does
Hell
anybody feel
yeah.
me here?
I'm eating those right now.
Based. Okay. Anyway, unfortunately, I cannot hang around, but I did want to come on to tell this story. That husband told me to come on and tell. Uh, so this happened to me personally. I was maybe some of you. I think I've told this story to at least one other of you. So I was about 10 years old, and this was just one dark night, and my house at that time was a little tri-level, so you actually entered in on like this raised platform basically that was the second floor, and then you could go down to the first floor, and that was where the living room was, and that was where this big door was, and this big door had like a window in it so you could see outside or see inside. So my bedroom was upstairs. I was in my bedroom upstairs. And so I think I was walking down the stairs for like a bottle of water or something. And so I stride down the stairs with my little fucking baby legs, and I enter the kitchen, which is when you entered it, at least from my angle, it was at the top of this little flight of stairs that led down to the living room, and that was where that big door was. What I'm about to tell you is exactly how I remember it, and I am not embellishing this whatsoever. And some of you who perhaps are familiar with my predilections, you might see a connection between this and that. So, I gaze with my little baby eyes down the stairs and to the living room, and I begin to see from outside this this like radiant, almost radioactive green light, right? And again, I'm being honest with you that I'm not embellishing this. I see proceeding from the green light, like like some like out of the darkness, except it's out of the greenness in this context. Coming out of the greenness, I see I see a little green man, and it's this
Little
little
baby man.
green
Little
figure,
baby.
this little green silhouette, and the light gets brighter and brighter, and it just kind of it shines in through the house and it overpowers my sight, and the next thing I know, I'm in my bedroom again. But I was not in my bed, and I do not remember this like it was a dream. And I've never sleepwalked in my entire life, so I don't know why I would have woken up on my feet. Now, as I was saying, those of you who may be familiar with me may understand why there is a certain humor in my having seen a little green man when I was a child. I think that it is very possible that my seeing this creature, this figure, this la criatura, outside of my house, I think that may have contributed to my later fixation on the mythical creatures known as goblins. Beyond, I mean, it's just a funny word, goblin.
It's
So
true.
that's got something to do with it.
I
And
mean,
also they're funny little guys, you know.
Oh,
They're like 3 feet tall, and they got little daggers, and they're like carrying coin purses from their little goblin belts, and they're going, I'm a goblin, and they're just like going for people's
well-known quote from
valuables and yeah, and they're going for people's valuables, and they're seeing people's silver and gold, and they're all their chests of large pirate-like booty, and they're like, "Give me the gold doubloons," and so on.
Uh, I
So,
think it's because
yeah,
I think it's because they're short enough that you can punt. They're cute.
yeah,
If they were any bigger, they would be
good
horrifying.
yeah, because like a big goblin is just a troll, and then a big troll is
that's-
just a goblin.
that shit's crazy.
An ogre, excuse me. A big troll is an advanced form of goblin that we call goblinar, and
Excuse me.
goblinar are very frightening, and I pray to my Lord Jesus Christ that none of you ever have to encounter one. So
See,
anyway,
like-
I either saw at 10 years old an alien, a goblin, or some kind of inexplicable creature from the afterworld that just so happened to come to me in the form of a little green man, and I'm accepting no other answer to this.
Yeah, see, that was actually me. That's how we met for the first time. Just
Oh,
fate.
yeah.
mystery solved
I'd
after all
believe
these
it.
I was gonna say, as I was listening to the story, you are incredibly fond of giving people hypotheticals involving their encounters with little goblins and what they would do.
Yeah, sure.
Dude, she just sends me videos of like herself making goblin noises and just goes like,
See, I know y'all are thinking when he says that, like, oh, they're, just having this cute little couple in joke, and they're, just showing it to people. But no, he's not telling a lie to you right now.
no, yeah, it's made my day on more than one occasion. It's just this, it's not even the voice, it's the fucking picture of the goblin.
So what if these goblins like kidnapped you, like a la Where the Wild Things Are, and you like lived with the goblins for a while, but then you like had to come back and you've like forgotten your time with the goblins?
Dude, can you abduct me and bring me to your labyrinth? Be fucking sick.
I thought you were gonna
We'll teach you our goblin ways.
I thought you were going to say, what if a goblin kidnapped Maddie and left Comix a ransom note in goblin speak, but Comix just thought it was Maddie sending a funny goblin.
What I was
That
gonna
too.
say is, to kind of branch off of that idea, what if, like, I was I was stolen, I was abducted by this goblin tribe or whatever, and
one is.
like I'm not myself. They like left behind a goblin replica, and so I've just been a fucking goblin this whole time. I have green blood.
I
The
mean,
goblin sleeper agent. When you hear your activation word,
do
you
we have
steal
any
all the
proof that
underwear.
he is not a goblin sleeper agent?
I mean, I can't provide proof that I'm not, honestly, and just considering this
I know how.
possibility has shaken me irrepressibly.
I know how. Maddie,
Yes.
how do you feel about doubloons?
No, I can't.
We got it, boys. Meat's back in the menu.
It wasn't me, Peter. It was the suit.
Maddie
Turn on
looks in the
Harry.
mirror.
I'm gobbing out.
Maddie looks in the mirror. She realizes she's been bullying them for this whole time, except just really short.
I must kill Spider-Man.
She's like crawling
To
on
be
all
fair-
fours to her fucking Power Rangers helmet.
To be fair, I think the first encounter, at least after that, I guess, with the exclusion of my goblin encounter, my close encounter with the goblin kind at 10 years old. Do any of you recall? I believe it aired like in 1995. The Spider-Man cartoon. I think it was called. I don't remember. It was like Spider-Man the animated series or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where that
Yeah.
meme comes from,
Do
right?
any of you remember? No,
60s
that's like Spider-Man in the 60s.
Oh.
The Spider-Man I'm talking about was really cool. And the man said radioactive spider blood in the theme,
Oh
which was
yeah,
really
that was
cool.
so hype.
And also they weren't, because that show was airing on Fox Kids, so they weren't allowed to like punch each other. So they just like no, wait, what was it? Were they not allowed to punch each other? I know
No,
that
they
they
weren't allowed to
couldn't
punch
have.
each other.
Yeah, they weren't allowed to punch each other, and they could not allow guns. So
Yeah.
if you just watch Spider-Man's like battle scenes, dude just like jumps around much like a goblin, I suppose. And he swings from webs and he kicks people. They allowed kicking but not punching, curiously. And also they didn't allow guns, so all of the guys, even like the gangsters, just have like laser blasters. It's kind of weird.
Amazing.
Anyway, all besides the point. So in Spider-Man the animated series, have any of you seen of it?
I have seen it.
Yeah, I would.
Absolutely. I
Okay,
love
so
that show.
Yeah.
for about
Okay.
six
Go ahead.
years of my life, I only wore a Spider-Man costume. And I'm not exaggerating. For 6 years of my life, I would, and if I had to wear clothes, I would wear the clothes over the Spider-Man costume.
Dedication.
Oh, we're gonna go visit Grandma. Get your clothes on over your Spider-Man suit. Anyway, so yeah, I watched every piece of Spider-Man media during the early aughts, so I am very familiar with
Yeah.
this.
Hell
Bless you. I just wanted to, comment, actually getting to the point of why I brought this up. So for those of you who have seen it, y'all know how the Green Goblin looks in that show. And
Yes.
to those of you who have not seen it, dude looks hilarious.
I'm gonna
Like,
pull up a picture of him and put it on
yeah,
the stream.
please do. Bless you. He looks
Bless.
hilarious. He's got this little like purple onesie, and he's got these little purple boots and his purple gloves, and he's got this like fucking skull cap that's like whipping in the wind all the time, and these huge ears, and he's like, "I'm gonna get ya, Peter Parker. I'm gonna get ya," and he throws like these bombs that are like pumpkins, cause like I guess goblins are intrinsically linked to Halloween.
Here
or
we-
pumpkins.
Okay, I've got the picture up for everybody who's curious.
Yeah, dude looks so funny.
That's actually how he looks in the comics too, around that era. So they're not even
Yeah.
making shit up.
I'm also gonna post it in the Discord for anyone who wants to see it, because holy
Then-
sh...
Genuine curious.
This looks
They
like
shot
a...
him.
Damn,
big
bro,
fan.
nice
Yeah.
thigh gap.
Why
They
is it
tried
look...
really hard to make the Hobgoblin cool, but like they gave him like this hood and this cape and everything, and he had like instead of
Got like a
having
wrinkly.
Dude, when
face.
I was a little fucking baby child, of course I'm still a little, but I'm not like a little baby child anymore. Like I didn't
Right.
grow at all. I just got older and sadder. And so when I was that age though, I thought that the Hobgoblin was so cool, but also I thought, dude, his name is hilarious. Even then, like a Hobgoblin, bro.
Hobgoblin fucking.
You
Hobgoblin was
you
awful.
really gonna come in flying on your little fucking dinky wing glider and throw bombs and go and be called the Hobgoblin? Come on,
Well,
buddy.
At least the Hobgoblin, the Hobgoblin, at least he wore pants.
Yeah, the blue block
he had like pants on
yes.
underneath his onesie.
He had decency. He had decency, and honestly, that's all you can really hope for when it comes to Spider-Man villains.
Might be a criminal, but he's he's not a sex criminal.
He's
But
not
I think
a
the
sex
thing
criminal
is
like
about-
some of us here.
I think the thing is about Hobgoblin, what made him interesting, is he's like a copycat of the Green Goblin. And I remember in that show, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, was like, "Oh, it's another goblin. I bet that's freaking Osborne or something." So he goes to beat the shit out of Osborne, and Osborne's like, "What the hell are you talking about? I don't know anything about no hobgoblin." And the hobgoblin shows up and kicks both their asses, and you never figure out who the hobgoblin actually is. It's
Dude,
just some weirdo. It's like he saw the Green Goblin. He's like, "That shit's hype. I'm gonna do
It's
that."
like it's nobody.
But me.
It's absolutely nobody important. It's just this dude who thought, you know what? I'm gonna call myself the Hobgoblin.
Yeah, that shit's cool.
If we're
Anyway,
gonna talk about fucking Spider-Man villains, can we please bring up my boy Shocker? Like, we want to talk about sex criminals. Like, he's walking around. He's walking
fishnets
around
all
in
the time.
fishnets. Yeah, he's got his fucking shirt unbuttoned all the way down to see his chest.
Yeah, man.
It's also in fishnets.
Anyway, I
He's
would
got like that
love.
quilted.
I would love to get into the minutia of Spider-Man villains with you tonight, but I must depart for the night. I am glad that I got to come on to tell this goblin story, because it has been haunting me since I was a child, and I have been receiving psychotherapy for it for the last 10 months now.
I thought you were gonna say you were
Uh,
receiving threatening letters from the goblin.
Yeah. The problem with that is it's written in goblinoids, so I can't really understand what they're saying.
Don't actually
Anyway.
understand your words.
Well, thank you so much, Maddie.
Yes.
I hope you have a
Thank
good night.
Yeah, thank you
Ciao,
for your
talk to you later.
reception. Yeah, I love you all. God bless. Good night, and I hope that you do not get visited in the night by goblins, or if you do, I hope you have a wonderful, fantastic, like mystical life with them, because life fucking sucks. Anyway, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Later.
I'm glad
I
she
was
gonna
still
say-
loves me, even though I like raisins.
I
Yeah, well, we all know
I
which
fuck
loves
with
the most.
raisins
Same.
Very true.
as long as they're chocolate coated.
When we were having that conversation, like Dietrich 6 in the chat was just fucking going full on defending raisins.
Raisins?
Raisins are
Yeah, he's
nature's
like,
candy, Dietrich 6.
Can I bring up
What the fuck, man?
salted raisins? That sounds
I've
disgusting.
never
No.
heard of that.
That is
Ugh.
no.
Awful.
I think
fuck with
raisins are only good if you don't do anything to them.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
back.
He's back. He heard the magic word.
You're raising a good point there, Ender.
Oh.
Laugh track. Muffin, I wanted to ask you, since it's been so long. You had something you wanted to talk about, your urban exploration.
Oh right, yeah. Well, it was just to find things to talk about during the BungleCast. So just creepy places in general. I could send you through a few pictures.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah. So me and my cousin, like about 10, maybe 12 years ago, we did some urban exploration around our hometown, and there was this single cinema screen that was completely abandoned for about 20 years. I'm trying to tell a story and also send Mars pictures for context.
I am getting them, so I'll download them and bring them
Um,
up.
But yeah, like in order to get, the whole place was like condemned essentially, and the only way to get into it was like through a collapsed ceiling with like exposed rebar and stuff, and like climbing into it, like I almost cut myself on like 20-year-old rusted rebar. But
Ooh.
yeah, I mean, if you could just bring up the images, like
Yeah.
it looks cool and like creepy and stuff. I get more images here.
I
But yeah, it was all like flooded, and you can see like the roof collapsed in, and
Ooh, that's
like the
big.
screens destroyed and everything. But yeah, so one of the things my cousin did that was actually quite interesting is you see those like old timey vintage seats. Um,
Oh yeah.
he extracted like a couple of those. He actually got permission from the property owner to actually go in legitimately and extract the seats,
That's pretty
and
neat.
he refurbished them, and he sold some online, but he still got one in his house,
Wow.
which is pretty cool. But yeah, the only thing that like terrifies me about this place is the fact that I might have breathed in asbestos, so
Oh,
If I ever get like a bit of a cough, I'm like, was that the time I explored the abandoned cinema, or was it the time I explored the burnt out building? So
I mean, I
yeah.
can definitely relate to that. I'll have to pull up the pictures. I think I might have sent them to Ender and a few other
Is
people.
it the spooky hole place?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. So hold on, I'm gonna bring up the second picture that don't Muffin sent me. If it will download. Uh,
That cinema is bogged.
so well, I'll get started while I speak. But about a month ago, I was filming this horror movie in a couple locations, a couple abandoned prisons. One of them was in Joliet, Illinois, the Joliet Women's Prison. That's the other theater that Muffin sent me. So yeah, it's this film that I'm gonna plug right now because why not? It was called Hell's Half Acre. But basically, we were in the Joliet Women's Prison and a prison in Crown Point, Indiana. That I don't know. Do any of you know John Dillinger? Ash might know
I
this
recognize
person.
the name,
Yeah.
but
I remember the name.
Basically, they were like some bank robber who like killed some cops and stole some money, as you're one to do if you're a bank robber. And they had gotten away with it for quite a while, and until they were captured and taken to Crown Point, Indiana, where they escaped by carving a block of wood into a gun and taking a guard hostage. And that shit's crazy. And I'm kind of only talking about Crown Point to stall as I download these pictures. But anyway, um, so we were at the Crown Point, Indiana theater, which I was told would be the spookier location of the two, when really the Joliet prison was this horrifying place. There was an old wing and a newer wing. The newer wing was like it was fine, honestly. It was a five-star hotel compared to the older wing of the prison. I'm gonna pull up a picture of it right now. So this was a photo. It's flipped for some reason. Here we go. This was a photo I took of one of the old sections of the prison. It's in the stream right now. There's this like the wallpaper. There's like several layers of ancient wallpaper that's just peeling from the walls, and you've got this really creepy, bright like a bright farmhouse wallpaper, and there's wires hanging from the ceiling, and there's just dust and asbestos on the ground everywhere. It feels like when you cross over into what is the old section, it's like you can feel the air just get heavier and hot, and it was really very spooky. This was what one of the cells we were like shooting close to looked like the inside, and just I want.
Imagine just something running at you in the dark in there.
I'd rather not. It's spooky as hell.
So, like, just the amount of just rubble that's on the ground is honestly, it was so I like if I get lung cancer, I know exactly where it's from. I'm just being
I hope
honest.
you had some good shoes.
Oh yeah. Honestly, I wore like my semi-nice shoes, which was a mistake. I just had to wash them. But yeah, one of my favorite pictures I took was like the medical wing that we found, because it's just so creepy. But also, what Ender mentioned was the hole. So basically, as we were filming, like, why is it flipped again? We were, as we were filming, the director was saying like, okay, whatever you guys like, all right, you guys can like explore if you want. Don't go too far off. We have a job to do. But whatever you guys do, don't go into the basement of the prison. And we were like, okay, why? And it's like, I don't really want to talk about it. Um, so eventually
So I went into the basement of the prison.
I got I tried to get close, but I couldn't get to it itself. But what apparently was in the prison, or sorry, in the hole, was it's like it is literally a hole in the ground that is like it's just almost like dirt or like stone or something, and it's very tight. You can't like stand up in it. Ender knew what the name of this was called, and I'll ask you to tell
Oubliette.
it later. What was it?
Oh, oubliette.
Oubliette. So it was basically an oubliette. I'm not sure if you know what that is, but what it is they force prisoners who were misbehaving into going in this hole and basically like sitting on their knees on stone. And they can't stand up and they can't comfortably sit down. And they would just have them down there for hours at a time, just in this dark, there's no lights, in this dark place, just on their knees, practically naked, with no one around and no way to get out. So, yeah, that's what was in the hole. And
Not fun.
That's how you get ghosts.
yeah, that's
that is exactly how you get ghosts.
like if there was any place I've ever been to that's haunted, it was that place. So, gosh. That was it wasn't quite urban exploration, but that was I think cuz that building is totally abandoned. The only way we got in was this company bought it to make it like a haunted house. But man, that place was creepy as hell.
Sounds like it.
But yeah, I think it's been an hour and 41 minutes exactly, so I think we're just about wrapping up. But if there's any other topics or anything anyone wants to bring up before we wrap, I would love to hear it. If not, then I'll start the goodbye ceremony.
Loveland Frog, I need to show you the fucking stupid goddamn cryptid here.
Okay.
I'm gonna post it in the Discord thing. And you can pull it up if you want it. But this is just like a frog in Ohio, and it is the dumbest goddamn cryptid I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my god. Look at
Me
him.
IRL.
I'm gonna put this on the stream.
What the fuck? That's not a cryptid, that's a shit post.
No, that's
It's like
just my baby
realistic,
boy.
This is the Loveland frog. Ain't he a beauty?
It's pretty.
He's just,
That might
he's
be
just
what Maddie's
vibing.
What I'm looking
That looks like a goblin.
That is what I think. And look at the size; it's pretty small. I think that's goblin size.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what Maddie saw.
I think so.
With the fucking frog.
HD Pepe the Frog.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
I've just been wanting to bring that up ever since cryptids were talked about, because it was like I need to show them the Loveland Frog.
Well,
It's
thank
dumbest
you.
goddamn thing ever.
I am glad you made us aware of this
I'm-
horrendous creature.
The only other thing I can think of, but it's only funny because of the name, but it's like melon heads, which is basically these tiny people with giant heads, and that's it.
That's me.
Interesting.
Just like these giant bulbous heads.
So like they can't really walk around, can they? If their heads just dragging along behind them.
I guess
I
not.
don't know.
If they like lean forward and run into you, they could like knock you down or something.
Do they like Naruto
A
run
big
at you?
headbutt. Yeah.
Alright, so
No,
Let
they
me
just
see if I can
headbutt you
find a
really, really
picture.
hard.
Okay,
Swing
I
your
found a
fucking head around like a
picture.
mace.
It's tiny though.
Oh my god. Alright, I'll show this. And then I think we'll, unless there's anything
Yeah.
else, we'll wrap up.
Man. Is that what it's like to have wrinkles in your brain?
Apparently, there's a ghost where I live called the Donkey Lady.
Sorry, that's me.
Have you ever heard about the Donkey Lady, Cindo?
I've heard, like, I've never heard it mentioned. When I see lists of cryptids, it'll be like, ooh, cryptid in Texas, the Donkey Lady. I have never actually heard tale in person of the Donkey Lady. I just hear other people say, yeah, there's a Texas legend, Donkey Lady. Like, all right.
Donkey Lady.
So, and I-
God,
I mean-
Texas is lame.
At least we're just not good at naming things. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, you gotta get like some funny shit like the Loveland Frog or Mothman.
Yeah.
Yes, step it up.
Hey, we got this ghost. She's called the Donkey Lady. What does she do? Oh, she rips out your spine and swings it around like a bullwhip. Why is it called the fucking donkey lady? Like, what the fuck?
Wait, is that actually what she does? Because that's kind of hardcore. She just fucking Mortal
Oh, no,
Kombat fatalities you.
It really is.
I didn't read the article. I was just like, okay, donkey lady. That's some shit I can talk about.
Has
Part
anyone
donkey,
got
part
any
lady.
like any theories as to like common ghosts or types of like evildoers? Because it's like when I hear about the banshee, like which is one of the sort of Irish like ghost myths, which is that if you like hear the banshees like scream that she'll like kill you or whatever, or if you see her scream. But like, have you ever heard a fox or a barn owl like make a noise?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I swear to God, it sounds like a woman being like murdered.
Yeah, I
What
mean,
about a
there are
mountain
a lot of
lion?
those you can like figure for the Americas, because I mean, a lot of the like Native American, there are a lot of Native American monsters that sort of have like a through line through them, and a lot of them are, as with a lot of European monsters, more like fable than actual like ooh spooky thing. Like the Wendigo is basically don't eat people, that kind of thing. But you know, the Wendigo is like described as having this like shrill cry like a woman screaming, and it's supposed to lure you away from people and then it leash you. If you've ever heard a mountain lion, they
Mhm.
sound
Yeah.
so being
Yeah.
murdered in the middle of the night. So
Oh yeah, just
They
that.
sound like the death wail of a. Yeah, it's fucking
Yeah,
horrifying.
that. Thank you. Thank you.
I've never heard that in person, but I've seen YouTube videos. And I'm like, yeah, I can see where skinwalkers and Wendigo myths have come from now.
Oh,
Yeah.
that.
If I heard that shit out in the wild, I would think, oh, okay, that's a skinwalker.
It must fucking
Skinwalker,
suck.
look into that.
It must suck to be in mountain lion country because you can like go and get murdered and you'll be screaming bloody murder and nobody's gonna come find you because they think it's a fucking mountain lion and then the mountain lion actually shows up and then it mauls you like.
Yeah, you gotta scream words. You gotta be like, oh, or something. You can't just scream.
But then like that's when Bubba Joe goes like, nah, don't listen to that there, son. That's a mountain lion trying to fool you.
They can mimic our voices.
Like the
No,
predator.
I'm not Goblin. No, he's real clever. That one. He's real clever.
He's a real trickster. You don't want to get snatched up in the night.
I've been telling the
The
U.S.
mountain lions in the
military to
woods,
send
like-
in the helicopters, but they just won't listen.
The mountain lion's in the woods, like he snaps his paws. He's like, dang, they didn't fall for it.
I thought I'd catch me.
Damn you, Bubba Joe.
Just last week,
I-
Just last week, I heard a mountain lion singing a musical number.
big chunk.
We've gone at
Sorry,
least.
I'm sorry.
We've got an hour and 45 minutes and someone mentioned Big Chungus. Congrats.
Nice.
I mentioned it at the very beginning, so.
That is
So-
That's what I'm saying.
In a way,
What about-
things.
Ends with Bug Chungus.
In a way, things have come full circle.
It's true.
So as we wrap up, I'm just gonna ask everybody to say goodbye. If you have any last words for our audience, then say whatever you please. Muffin, I'll start with you.
Goodbye. I will continue to not post.
Oh, actually, no, fuck it. Comics, continue with you.
Yeah, hello, goodbye. Don't trust raisin apologists.
They're not trustworthy. They will trick you into eating raisins. Do not listen to them.
Do not
Exactly.
listen to them.
Mountain lion tricked me into eating raisins. Fuzzy?
I think if you put chocolate on raisins, they're okay. But anyway, I love you guys. Stay safe. All that.
Nice. Ash?
Just one. You take D for Daniel. You take A for Abel. You take B for barrel. What do you get when you have all three of those first words? Well, first letters there.
You get a fat dab.
Big
Dab.
dab.
You can't see
You know,
me, but we're all dabbing. I'm trusting that we're all dabbing right now.
Sure.
I'm always dabbing. I've
You
dabbed
take-
8 times during this.
Your arms must be tired.
They're
Cindy.
strong from all the
Yes.
dabbing.
Oh yeah. That just sign us out. no, nothing too different from what anyone else said. Love you all. Hope you all stay safe. And don't eat raisins. Raisins suck, and if you like it, you're either a muffin or a bad person.
Oh.
Well, she didn't call you a bad
It's
person.
just, it's just grape jerky.
Ugh.
Yeah, that doesn't
Oh
help.
God.
That doesn't help
Yeah,
at
like
all.
that's accurate. That's worse.
Oh, that's awful. I really wish you didn't say that.
Too late. Yeah, you have to live with my sins.
Ugh. This is why I drink.
Ender?
PP, you're all gay. That's it.
Who just crunched a Monster Energy?
Me.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
I
I
came for
just,
that.
I just actually hurt my hand doing that, so.
Oh my god. All right. Well, on that note, thank you all so much for tuning in to the BungleCast 2020 Halloween special. I want to wish everyone a happy Halloween. I want to thank all of my guests who have Muffin, Comix, Fuzzy, Ash, Ender, Cindy. I want to thank you all so much for coming, and I hope you all have a good night. Happy Halloween.
See y'all again for
Oh, yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.